Okay. Just a quick review here. Uses of rock, statues, buildings, cement roads. All right, we're going to talk coal today. Energy from coal. That'd be a good heading. Energy from coal. So, I know we talked about this last year a little bit in seventh grade, but I'm sure you remember it, but let's just go over it a little bit anyways. How does coal form? Go ahead and write this down. Coal formation. 300 million years ago, plants died and accumulated at the bottom of swamps. So a long time ago, places of the earth looked different. And there were giant ferns and other plants that died. And they kind of piled up. If I'm going too fast, you can pause it. Go ahead and write this down. Layers of sediments gradually filled in the swamps and covered those remains. Layers of sediments gradually filled in the swamps and covered those remains. So we had these plants, these giant ferns dying, falling down and getting covered up. If you've ever been in like a real forest or you have a thick grove of trees or something like that, it's not all perfect where everything's picked up and clean. There are branches that are laying on the ground. There might be a tree that fell over, okay, old stumps, whatever. Well, after a while, after a long, long time, those things are going to pile up and get covered up by erosion. Go ahead and write this. Compaction forces all the water out of this layer and coal forms. So after a while, it gets covered up and then it gets squished down. The more sediment that gets piled on it, the more squished, the more compacted it's going to be, and it's going to squish out the water. I think of it as a sponge. If you wet a sponge and you squish it, the water is going to, most of the water is going to get pushed out. That's what happened with these plants. Plants have tons of water. So that compaction is going to pull out the moisture. So there's a good picture here. Okay, we have all these plants in kind of a wet, watery swamp. Okay, they're going to die, kind of collect at the bottom here. Over time, it's going to get covered up by different layers of sediment. Okay, kind of become a peat. Okay, you can buy peat at like Fleet Farm or things like that for your garden. And then as it continues to get squished down, it's going to turn into coal. Remember, this doesn't happen over the weekend or Christmas break or anything like that. It's over millions and millions of years. There are different types of coal based on how well they burn. The great thing about coal is it burns hot for a long time. Okay, so depending on what you're burning, it's going to burn differently. If if I'm like really cold and I want to start a fire in the fireplace or something, if I put paper in there, paper is going to catch on fire easily and it's going to burn in a matter of seconds. It's going to give off very little heat and it's going to be done. The great thing about coal is it burns hot for a long period of time. If you put wood in your fireplace and burn it, okay, once it gets going, if it's good wood, it's going to burn hot for a long time. It's going to have good coals and it's going to take a while to burn while giving off plenty of heat. So the better the coal, the longer it burns. Don't worry about this. South Dakota has one major energy plant that uses coal. Big Stone by Millbank. Don't need to write this, but other energy companies use natural gas or hydroelectricity. There's some different types of mines. The shaft mine, okay? So they go straight down into the layer of coal. Most of these things have two areas of entry. One is to go in and out with stuff. The other is for ventilation, okay, to keep air moving, because if you're down there and no air is moving, you're going to have some breathing issues. So that'll be a shaft mine. A slope mine on the side of a hill. Boom, digging it to there. You got the air shaft there. A drift mine, be on the side and you dig into the side of the hill there. And then a strip mine just means that you get rid of all the rock on top. So if we want to make this into a strip mine, we would get rid of all of this rock. Depending on where it is, that might not be realistic. It would take a long time to get rid of all this. Environmental impact of coal mines. So just some pictures here. Open pit mine. Some issues with mines is basically no one likes to live around them. Okay, so a lot of times what they'll do is we'll put like a big pile of dirt around it, kind of like a dirt fence where you can't see into it, and then it's just not quite an eyesore. It's basically a giant hole. Off of the interstate in Sioux Falls, by the fairgrounds there, they have a giant mine there. It's just a really big hole. A lot of people don't like that, or if you had houses there and they started digging, that's not somewhere you'd want to live. Now when you're done with it, you need to do something with it. From watching the Modern Marvels the last couple days, they made a golf course out of it, where it's basically dug into the ground. A lot of times they will fill it with water and make it a recreational area. On 12th Street by T. Ellis, on the T. Ellis Road, there's houses called Cherry Creek houses or something, really nice houses around a couple of ponds there. Those are old mines, so a lot of times they'll fill them up with water and stock them with fish, make them a kind of a recreational area. There we go.